Hey guys, Arm&Gun here, today with an overview on the Gen 2 Kriss Vector CBR. This is their carbine version of the CB of the Kriss Vector. I've got here the SBR as well. This is more so just for reference. We're going to do a separate video series on this guy in the near future. But basically today we're going to cover just an intro of the gun, talk about what it is really quickly in case you missed my Gun of the Week intro on this platform a few days ago. Then we're going to do some specs and some features of this thing, talk about the history, basically the design, how Kriss came up with this thing, what they designed it for, and then also I'm going to take you inside the gun, show you exactly how this cool Super V recoil mitigation system works, and then finally close off with some of my thoughts on this super unique weapon system. So basically the CBR is a semi-automatic civilian version of the rifle. It's meant to just be a rifle. In the United States, it's going to be a 16-inch barrel. Again, to skirt your SBR laws. Basically, it's just treated as a rifle. In Canada, they got to go a little bit longer, a little bit further, 18.5 or 18.6 inches is what this barrel is here. I'm up in Canada, so this is the Canuck Special. Again, chambered in 45 ACP. These things came in a wide variety of calibers. 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, 10mm, and now new for 2020, 22 long rifle, which is really cool. Actually, I'm really excited to get a 22 LR gun of these at some point. It looks like a lot of fun. But just getting into the features of this thing, the Vector is such a unique firearm. It's super, super cool. And it features primarily this Super V recoil mitigation system. What the website says, verbatim, is the innovative non-linear operating system that re-vectors, that's where they got that word from, energy down and away from the shooter's shoulder to dramatically reduce felt recoil and muzzle climb. The system as a whole allows the shooter to recover faster and quicker for more accurate sequential shots. So that's their claim for the gun, and essentially why they designed it. It was also designed to be used within primarily engagements of 50 meters. I guess they say with a long barrel you can get a little bit further. Well, that's kind of BS because at this length you're really just like you're not getting anything else this round. This is the 45 ACP designed for use in the 1911, I think, but that's a 5.5-inch barrel. So this is pretty much optimized for barrels, 5 to 7 inches, which is why the CBR is extra awesome. Or sorry, not the CBR. This is the CBR. The SBR is extra awesome with the 5.5-inch barrel. This is a freaking sweet package. This exists only because of dumb laws, in my humble opinion. Anyways, I've already talked about the Glock mags, which are freaking awesome. It's a really cool. This thing is chambered in those. Actually, maybe I haven't talked about the Glock mags yet. It's chambered in Glock mags, so that's super amazing. In Canada, we get a nice little bonus in this because, well, guns in general, if it's a rifle semi-automatic centerfire, which this would be classed as, we're stuck with only 5 rounds, which super sucks. Pistols, however, in the same category are limited to 10. And the Glock is a pistol, hence 10 rounds. Glock mags, they don't care about the mags as long as they're, designed for a specific weapon. Like this is a pistol mag. It doesn't matter that it's going to a rifle. It's still a pistol mag, still limited to 10 rounds. So Kriss Vectors in Canada are a really fun way for Canadians to double their, legal ammo capacity for their range toys. And this one, even, you can use it for anything because it's non-restricted in Canada with the full long goofy barrel. So that's feature-wise. Let's jump right into specs. So nice, relatively ambi gun. I guess specs-wise, we're going to jump into controls. I guess first here, we got an ambi safety selector. Nice, I think it's like a 45-degree safety selector. Really nice positioning. We've got a non-ambi bolt catch and release, non-ambi charging handle. It's just on the left side here, so it's set up for a right-handed shooter. It is pretty cool though, the way you lock, so like the mag's empty, so you pull the charging handle back and you just glance this with your finger as you're doing so. That's gonna lock the bolt back, which is really kind of handy here. You can do that all in one kind of fluid motion. That was kind of clunky when I was doing it there, but in one fluid motion. It's pretty nice. This is gonna be your bolt release. It's gonna kind of ease it a little bit so it's not super loud on camera and make my microphone dampen. So there we go, that's your bolt catch and release mechanism. Here's your mag release. There's this nice little contoured section here for your hand, everything to ride really nicely. Again, non-reciprocating charging handle, so that's not going to get in the way on you when this thing is firing, which is nice. But this is just a really nice place to kind of tuck it in and hold it up real close. I like that a lot. Pick rail here, just for vertical grip if you want, something like, you know, this little guy right here, made by Custom Smith Manufacturing. Cool little guy, cool little grip. Looks awesome on there. Functions well as also. And there's also little segments here you can add pick rail if you so choose, both sides. Or also they made rails now as well. Kind of help compensate for the super goofy long barrel look. You can add a little rail, different lengths, different designs. Some of those actually look really, really awesome and really help make up for the goofiness of the barrel. It kind of blends it in quite effectively, I must say. It makes use of push pins for disassembly, something similar, very similar to HK actually. They literally just pop right out. If you want to see me disassemble this thing, you can do that. They're not captive. There's 4 of them, and they're pretty simple to deal with. I quite like that. The Gen 2 models come with Magpul flip-up sights. This is a Gen 2. Gen 2s did away with the folding stock, unfortunately. They got this solid thing. The polymer was known for breaking down, so I've got mine replaced with an aluminum version of the polymer stock, or stock adapter. And I've got the separate video on comparing, contrasting Gen 1 with Gen 2. So if you want to know exactly all the differences, check that video out. The stock is called a DS150, I believe. It's a 6-position telescopic stock. The interweb said this is a 3-inch gap, which I'm pretty inclined to believe, which gives you guys a overall collapsed length of 35.25, extended length of 38.25, and then if you're in Canada, add another 2.5 inches to that. The gun weight, I was actually a little bit hard-pressed to figure this out. I'm ordered a scale. I did literally order a scale here so I can start weighing this stuff on camera. Super excited for that. It's probably going to be a couple weeks yet, though, given all of the shipping delay stuff going on right now. But I heard estimates from 6 to 8 pounds. So 6 pounds being the SBR and 7 or 8 for the CBR. The couple extra inches is going to be pretty immaterial. It's not going to make a big difference. So I wouldn't worry about that if you're in Canada. 8 pounds is pretty heavy. I don't know if but it's not a super light gun either. It might actually be that. It's again, not super light for a pistol caliber carbine, but nonetheless, other specs. Top rail is 13 inches long, and the barrel is chromoly, and it is black nitrided, black nitrided for the finish. And that's going to be your specs on this cool gun. Lastly, I guess the operating system. It's blowback, but it's delayed blowback, which is really cool. Obviously, a closed bolt. It's not an open bolt. Basically, no one makes open bolts anymore. But the delayed operating system is really cool. And again, I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to go through the history and the design specs and the kind of that preamble of the gun, how it came to be. And then I'm going to pop this thing apart. You're going to see inside how this thing works. And it's so, so cool. If you don't want to, just stay tuned for that because it's really freaking cool. So back before Kriss was Kriss, they were TDI, which stood for Transformational Defense Industries. And they're the guys that originally came up with this design back in 2006. And then I believe it was kind of announced 2007, and then went into production 2009 and is still in production to this day. I want to say this model came out around 2007, for civilian use, something like that. But nonetheless, really cool. So just jumping in here, basically this is where I paused in my disassembly video, field stripping the Kriss Vector yesterday. I wanted to take a bit more time to explore the internals in detail because the Kriss Vector, as crazy as it looks from the outside, it's crazier inside, and that's really where the magic happens. So I wanted to take a chance to show you how the Super V recoil mitigation system works, and kind of how they basically took the traditional AR-15 upper lower and they just flipped it on its head. Because traditionally when you think of an AR-15, your lower has the fire control group, the stock, all that kind of stuff, right? And then the upper has a barrel, your action, etc. So here, this is the upper, which is the fire control group and your stock, of course. And interestingly enough, they also flipped around the hammer. So check this out. That's the hammer up in there, a little nub there. That's what connects with the firing pin. So when you pull the trigger, this rotates like from underneath and strikes the firing pin, setting off the round. which is really neat because it actually, you know, it rotates. It's the opposite. It's inverted essentially from an AR-15. So that's kind of cool, but that's really the only thing that's of note with the upper. The lower is really where all the action's going on, pun intended. But it's actually really slick. So I'll start off just with some of the features. Here's your charging handle, non-reciprocating. It's got this little return spring on in here that brings it back. Super cool. Your barrel shroud, because this whole thing is just a shroud covering an insanely long pencil barrel. It looks super goofy without the shroud, but it's just held on with a little set screw, tensioning it there at the front, at the base of it. And then moving back, you can see the body here. It's all hollow inside. You got your mag well and this big cavity here for your bolt and carrier. And the bolt, again, you know, this thing is, they basically said, like, you know, it recoils downwards, right? That's what gives this thing its cool effect and its recoil mitigating factor. It's, you know, takes away from the muzzle rise, all that kind of stuff. And that's really because this bolt carrier and bolt are riding in these two grooves, which you can see. You can see groove 1, groove 2. The leading one, or the forward one, is for the bolt. The rear one is for the carrier. See, the bolt flips up and then it does this, I don't know, not quite a 90-degree angle. I don't know if it's a 70-degree angle or 80-degree angle. And that flips up in here and closes. Really neat system. So now let's take a look at how that actually works with the bolt and carrier. So here's your bolt up close. Extractor, firing pin, which has a spring in there. It's not floating. And these two little nubs, these are what ride in that groove, as do these back nubs. So they cycle up and through here. It's going to toss that in there. It's almost like dropping the Hot Wheels down those little ramps as a kid. That's actually just what that reminds me of. But yeah, so it's basically, you know, it's chilling down there and then comes up and runs home, locks home. It's a delayed blowback system. It's not just a straight blowback. It's actually delayed from opening, which is really cool. Again, pretty advanced for a SMG that was designed in, you know, 2006. So I think that's so cool. But that's where you have that there. So let's now put it together with the carrier and see how that all works as a single unit. And again, I'm getting pretty dirty. This gun isn't shot very much, and I've definitely cleaned it before. I probably only got 200 rounds through this gun, but it gets dirty quick. So that's how this just rotates in. The carrier has these slots for this thing to travel in. And then here's obviously your recoil spring. It has that range of motion. It does bottom out. You can see this, was a neoprene buffer or something, but you can see where it has bottomed out on the bottom of the receiver there. You can see that circular end or just marking there. So that's obviously why they put that there. This obviously comes down with quite a bit of force. And that's what, when this comes down, right, that's your mass. And that's what's basically translating that energy back down, trying to keep the gun down, the recoil out of the shooter's shoulder. So let's again just pop this in here and slide this in. So again, here's where your bolt is riding in the first groove, and here's where your carrier is riding in the second groove with these lobes. So bolt in, right here, yep. Carrier in, back of the bolt in, there we go, okay. So she's going in. Okay. All right, so I pulled the bottom pin out because I was finding it was really difficult to show you how this thing really worked and the finer details of it. And I felt I was leaving a lot to be desired when I was just trying to like manually depress it. And there's quite a bit of a spring tension to overcome. So I just pulled that pin out. Now I can drop the whole carrier to exaggerate the movement really easily and show you from a number of angles just how this thing is working. So the main thing to watch is how the rear lobes ride up this. Actually, they don't really ride up so much as the bolt is forced back, which forces this carrier down. That's how that motion works there. And that's what starts this process. I think that's what causes the delay, first of all, this has to move more for the backwards travel of the bolt. And then it comes down here, and it's coming down those tracks. I just think this is so cool. So that's the motion of the carrier. And it would basically go all this way down because, again, this carrier bottoms out on this base plate. So it's basically, this is your range of motion. Let's check it out from these angles. So now you can really see those lobes traveling up the carrier, those arms. It's so cool. Basically, it's just doing this over and over again. And again, that full auto version, doing this 1,200 times a minute. Unbelievable. I think that's just super cool. Just trying to show you this thing from a number of angles. Oh man. I love this. This is like satisfying. Very, very cool. So anyways, that's how the internals work in this thing. Just awesome. So shout out to Kriss for their ingenuity. Let's throw this thing back together and get back into the review. So in closing, my thoughts on this gun. Overall, a super unique platform. I really think it's awesome. I think it makes a lot of sense as an SBR. I mean, this thing it's a pistol caliber, submachine gun. Sub referring to, sub caliber, which is basically pistol caliber. And pistol caliber is called pistol caliber for a reason. It was designed for a pistol. Pistols have small barrels. These are designed, like these cartridges are most effective out of a short barrel. They've got fast burning powders. They, expand quickly and they produce most of the velocity in a short amount of space. They really don't benefit from having this super long barrel. This is literally just because of our dumb laws. That I think is the only reason that something like this would exist. And I think that this barrel really detracts from what this gun can be. Now, do I think that given our laws, these things make sense? Well, yeah, because it's cool, and in certain places, like it lets you skirt, law things that again are weird. But overall, I think it's a fantastically unique system. But I do think that something like this, this is just unbelievably cool. I suppose I never did clear this thing from earlier. Just 5.5 inch barrel. This thing is super small, super compact, super effective. And I think that's really, really cool. Also, the whole Super V system for a semi-automatic use, I think it's kind of some hype. I don't think it really, really makes an effect. Could be wrong there. I think full auto, this thing makes a ton of sense. And that's where you're gonna really notice the benefits of the system and see this thing shine. So at any rate, I still think it's super cool. I'm super excited for the 22 long rifle version. I'm definitely gonna grab one of those eventually, once I can afford stuff again. Losing your job with this whole COVID-19 thing is not super fun. But hey, it is what it is. This was a ton of fun doing these videos. I'm gonna be pumping out more and more of these things. So please stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things because they all help me a ton. And finally, your bonus gun, which is the SIG MPX. Just wanted to continue the kind of train of pistol caliber carbines going on here. And I thought none other than, honestly, one of my favorites is this thing. Also, I mentioned at the start, the whole 10 rounds thing. This was the gun. This thing, unfortunately, is limited to 5 because it's a unique magazine. And this took Glock mags, we'd have 10 rounds. But because it takes these awesome, unique Lancer mags that are stupid expensive, we are stuck with 5 because there's no pistol version of this gun in Canada anyways. At least not that's considered by the legal department. The federal, police kind of guys they don't consider it to be a pistol. They only consider this thing to be a rifle. So that is what it is. Anyways, super cool gun. Sorry I don't have sights. Just the optic is on something else right now. But that's it for today. Thanks a ton, guys. Arm and Gun out. And if you guys want to chat with me or support the channel, hit me up on Patreon. Basically, just for the small donation of a month, I make myself available to answer questions about random stuff. Guns, talk and shop, whatever you want to do. But given my lack of current economic income and the desire to keep supporting and growing this channel, I just, anything you guys can throw out there is much appreciated. And if not for me, do for someone in need, because this whole COVID-19 thing is really a bummer on a lot of people. And we definitely want to keep the industry going, the industry strong. So, buy a gun, buy ammo, train, do what you got to do. But let's keep this thing rolling. Thanks a ton, guys. Arm and Gun out.